Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Secret of the Wings. It should have been obvious yesterday that this was about Tinkerbell. This is one of the many Tinkerbell movies that are on Disney Plus. It originally probably was on the Disney Channel, and of course is released on DVD over the years. This one's from 2012. It is an hour. It says it's an hour and 20 minutes. It is not. It is, let's just say, with about 12 minutes left in the runtime, that's when the credits start. So the next 7 minutes are the regular credits, and the last 5 minutes are the foreign credits. So even with the foreign credits taken off, you still have the last 7 minutes is pretty much credits. So it's a little over an hour long. And that's all right. It's still a full story. It's not too complex of a story. It's just the usual fun Tinkerbell adventure. And if some of you aren't really clear on this yet, as I wasn't before I started seeing these movies come up in the random selection, I've seen almost all of them now. Almost. I'm not really sure. Because they're not like Tinkerbell, Land of the Neverbeast, Tinkerbell, Secret of the Wings. It's just, they all have their own names, and then I realized later it's a Tinkerbell story. This animated film it gives you the idea, it gives you kind of a history, and if you didn't already know, it tells you how fairies are made. I think that's hinted in the very first Tinkerbell movie, not hinted, but it's explained how fairies are born, how they come to be. And this one sort of tells that Tinkerbell story again, but with a variation. Turns out that when a fairy or a pixie is born, or created from the ether, it comes from a baby's laughter. And in this case, something happened that split that laughter in two. I think that's where she gets her name. Her thing bumped into a bell or something. I'm not really sure, but the way they visually showed it, that little piece split in two, and one became Tinkerbell and one became her sister, Periwinkle. And they happen to not know about each other because they live in two different realms. Of course, we know Tinkerbell lives in with the worm fairies, and the worm. Are they saying fairies or pixies? I can't remember because they live in Pixie Hollow. Yeah, they're fairies. There's winter fairies and there's worm fairies. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just do summer fairies? The alliteration made no winter fairy, worm fairy. It doesn't matter. Either way, they lived in two different realms and they're not allowed to cross over. In fact, I don't know if this is the first time in all the movies we've even had a mention of it. I imagine if they were going to mention it, they would have had to tell the story, and well, this is that movie. Tinkerbell becomes very curious about this other realm, and she kind of follows some of the people that are in charge of distributing things by owl. These owls come in, they swoop down, grab a basket of stuff, and they take it to the winter realm. And then they come back and grab more baskets. They go on a loop, and she realizes, well, maybe this is my chance to go see what that realm looks like. She does find the border when she first sneaks to the border. She finds where that is, and with the help of one of her friends, Fawn, who's an animal fairy. She has she has an affinity for animals, and she helps them cross over the border into the winter realm every season, so they can hibernate for the winter, like bunnies and ferrets and whatever else. She handles that, and so Tink follows along and finds this really interesting. She really wants to go over there, but it's too cold. You can't go over, even though it's a clearly delineated line across the river on a little log that goes across. You can see it's warm over here, cold over here, and well, dare to take a step over there, you're going to just freeze to death. Your wings will freeze. You don't want that to happen. And what's keeping the frozen people from coming to the worm? Well, that's too hot for them, and their wings get ruined from melting, I guess. We find out what happens. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but Tink doesn't know about her sister at all, just at this point. And I've spoiled it for you because it says it in the description and it shows it right here. They're sisters. But when she does come to that crossover area, she notices her wings start glowing really strangely, like an iridescent glow, and that never happened before, and she wants to find out what's going on with that. So she finds a way to, with the help of the owls and the baskets, to sneak into the winter realm, but she bundles herself up, has to cover up her wings and everything else in order to survive the cold, and there you go, the rest of the movie. I'm not going to tell you everything that happens, but let's just say, normally you would figure there'd be a bad guy, somebody with an evil plan to thwart the adventures of Tink and her twin, I don't say twin sister, but her sister. It'd be twins, fraternal twins, in a sense. Nobody, I only through this movie do I realize that nobody really has traditional family relations, as in there's no mom and dad fairy has a baby fairy. They're all just sort of fairies that all live together. That's a maid family. It's a family that just, they're all brothers and sisters, in a sense, elders and young ones. There's different generations, but there's no traditional family unit, mainly also because it's a predominantly female culture, and that's all right. I mean, this is what the fairy realm is. There's male fairies throughout this, but I don't think they make a big deal about genders in this, and it's just that a lot of them just happen to look like traditional fairies, and the audience that's going to watch this is traditionally going to be girls, or who identify as girls. It's just the way it is, and it's all right. Even if you're a boy, you're a little kid, you want to watch an adventure with fairies, go for it. Have a fun time. That's what this is all about. It's just finding the family wherever you can, and just being kind and decent and everything else. Even if it means breaking the rules in some cases, because some people are saying that the elders on either side are saying, no, we can't cross over. And Tink is the one questioning that. Why can't we connect? Well, they learn pretty quickly why, but what can we do to change that? I don't know if this is the last one of the series or not, or if we see Periwinkle ever again in a different film. I have no idea. But in this establishes a connection between the realms, and it's an all-encompassing kind of Tinkerbell Tinkerbell cinematic universe in a sense, because all these stories do connect each other. There's pretty much a canon that fits between them. Each of the actors who play each of her best friends pretty much stay the same. Although I think Rosetta is played by Megan Hilty in this time. Before it was Kristen Chenoweth, I think. So, oh, by the way, I have to name off some of these actors, of course. Mae Whitman, who you might know from Arrested Development. She was kind of George Michael's mousy girlfriend, but she's owned the Tinkerbell role for years, decades now, because of these films. And she's done a lot of other voice acting as well, but in this she is Tinkerbell. Lucy Hale, she was in Pretty Little Liars and Riverdale. She's plays Periwinkle. We got Timothy Dalton, James Bond, plays the Lord Mallory from the Winter Realm. He's kind of the boss over there. Jeff Bennett, who is a Disney voiceover guy extraordinaire. He's pretty much all over it. He's in the Winnie the Pooh series. In fact, he is he he's Winnie the Pooh? Yeah. I think. If not, he's one of the Winnie the Pooh characters. I don't know why I can't remember that right now. Lucy Liu, Raven-Symone, Pamela Adlon, all in this. Matt Lanter, Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars series, plays a studly winter guy. His name is Sled. And the funny thing is that just like Tinkerbell, Periwinkle has her own set of friends, or pretty much analogous to the same kind of friends that Tinkerbell has, but in the winter realm. So they kind of all match up. Rob Paulson, Grey Griffin, Debbie Ryan, A lot of these people, oh, even Jodie Benson shows up. The Little Mermaid. Ariel shows up. Not Ariel, but the woman who voiced Ariel in the original animated film. She shows up in this as the healing fairy. Of course, Carrie Walgren. I mean, yeah, Tom Lennon shows up from Reno 911. But yeah, there's oh man, there's so many. Jesse McCartney, Kathy Najimy. There's so many. I saw John DiMaggio. There's so many people in this. It is a who's who of especially Disney, but across the board animated voiceover actors. So yeah, there's a pretty good pedigree to this, and yeah, I mean this I guess it's a moneymaker for Disney because they keep putting them out, or at least they did for a while. And they even have a dedicated little Pixie Hollow at Disneyland where you can go visit some fairies. I don't know if I haven't seen one in many years, but I don't really hang out there, which would just be inappropriate. But I imagine that still exists to some degree. So there's you definitely have this kind of fan base for it. Obviously, I imagine that they might be making more at some point. Or maybe the generation that grew up on this is all grown up now. I don't know. But it's the kind of thing it's fairly, it's not fairly, it is definitely inoffensive. It's just fun. It's cute. It's well animated. It's not like cheaply slapped together animated. It seems to be, it has its own style and it's consistent between all the films and it looks good. It's never inappropriate in how they depict the characters. You got to figure there's just girls wearing leaves and just flittering around. There's a chance that had this been made in the 90s or earlier, dudes would have been just like drawing them with all sorts of curves and look at them boobs, and it would have just been really inappropriate. Even for Disney, maybe Disney wouldn't have done that, but still, there's you never know. This is made for kids, and it's obviously not made for me, but I can appreciate it for what it is. It's not necessarily innovative story-wise, but it's something that kids, I think, can really enjoy. And I think just like nerds like me enjoy the Star Wars universe building upon itself in different directions, whether it's, Clone Wars or Andor or Bad Batch or Obi-Wan or, everything, just all these different directions. That's kind of great. In this, every time I see one of these films, it expands that little universe about fairies. I learn a little bit more about the fairies and the Pixie Hollow and everything else. And yeah, it's characters that people can become familiar with and hope to see the next time around. They might have a favorite. Maybe it's Rosetta or it's Silver Vidia or something like that. Yeah. Iridessa, Silver Mist, all this. The kids might really find a connection with them. That's cool. That's all right. So it's kind of a primer for younger kids who might like those kind of stories that expand and go in different directions. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about that. It's again, it's not going to break your brain. It's not going to oh my gosh, this is such innovative storytelling, and but it's still a good time. It's still a good time for kids. It's not something I'm going to be like, I really need to just sit down and watch this again. I'm going to go through all the Tinkerbell films. No, nobody my age. That's not a thing that's going to happen. It's not made for me, and that's okay. So I say, if you have kids who might want to watch a little something different, if you've never looked at the Tinkerbell films, I think this is something you can share with the kids, and you won't be annoyed by it as an adult. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of kids programming that's a little bit shrill and repetitive and obnoxious. But this is not one of those things. I think you can find a hero in Tink and her friends, and it's really about friendship and everything else. And one of the fun things about this is what I did not realize when I first saw the Tinkerbell films is that Tinker, it's her name, she's an inventor. Some of you already know that, I know, but and I already knew that as well from watching the previous films. But Tinker means she is a tinkerer. She is an inventor. She creates things, and what she does in every single one of these films is creates something new to solve a problem. And that is inspirational in itself, where it's not just, oh, the the hunky boy will help save me, or maybe if I just fly fast enough, or people clap, maybe things will go well for me. No, she takes it in her own hands and she fixes the problems. Not everything always goes right the way she wants it, but she works on it with her friends to overcome adversity. So it's kind of cool. It's a good lesson to share with kids. So anyway, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
339.
Okay. Not far to scroll. 339. Oh my. Okay, there was a time that this was not on Disney Plus, even though it was technically listed. Like, you couldn't see it, even though it would show up when you did a search. And then you'd click into it and you'd be like, oh, it's not available until this date? Well, I have a feeling, I think it is now. It is here now. I think it, unless they took it away again. But anyway, we are going to be watching one of the big, I think probably the last films in the series. One of the longest. The names all run together. I almost think we saw this already, but maybe not. We'll see. I'll find out. I'll just tell you what it is right now. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. So yeah, we still have 3 to go. But Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides is what we're going to watch tomorrow, assuming we haven't already seen it and assuming that it hasn't been taken away again on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.